You deserve to be a man's priority, not his convenience. But I know there's a lot of you experiencing men who are trying to treat you as such. Men who are not giving you the attention and respect that you deserve and desire, right? But sometimes you're dealing with a guy who's just not serious. And other times you're dealing with a man that you're both trying to navigate this situation and establish something healthy. And maybe you guys haven't gotten to that point yet, right? Maybe you guys have not figured out how much do we truly want to be with each other. We're still trying to feel each other out, essentially. And in that stage, it can get tricky sometimes, and there can be a lot of misinterpretations and misunderstandings. I've seen people allow simple misunderstandings to essentially break apart the potential of maybe a great relationship. And so what I want to empower you with in this video is how to become his priority. Now, of course, it's not about making a man make you his priority, but it's about embracing the principles, the traits, the foundational pieces that would allow him to fully accept your value and to give you what you deserve, right? And honor you in that way, so to speak. Now, before we get into how to be his priority, I want to mention something, and that is sometimes Mr. Nonchalant is really Mr. Not trying to do too much, all right? Now, why am I bringing this up real quick? I see a lot of videos, whether it be on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, with women talking about they don't want to date us nonchalant men. They're tired of these nonchalant men, these men acting like they don't care, right? And there's nothing wrong with you not wanting to entertain a man who acts too nonchalant with you. However, I just want you to understand that in the dating world today, a lot of people are scared or overthinking, or they're receiving bad advice. And in that, they're trying to quote unquote not do too much because they don't want to come across needy. They don't want to, as some will frame it, lose or give away their power in the situation, right? So it's not that they're not actually interested. It's not that the man doesn't actually see potential in you, but he doesn't want to come across weak, right? Or overly invested when you're not there yet, and that possibly scare you away. Now, I simply highlight that because I don't want you to assume his nonchalantness is he's just not interested. But as I break down for you these ways to be his priority, if you embrace those things, it'll help weed out the man whose nonchalantness is coming from a place of not being serious, or he may just be a little bit guarded, a little bit cautious. And these things will basically bring all those walls down and allow YouTube to really see if things can flourish. Okay. So now let's get to one of the first things you can do to make sure you are his priority and not just his option. And that is to communicate your standards. But we're going to cross out the word standards and say communicate your desires. Here's why I had to put it that way. So I thought about it for a second. I think you guys have heard millions of times, have standards. Let them know what your standards are, things of that nature. Cool. But when we speak about our standards, it really tends to come from a place of what we will not tolerate, what we will not accept, right? And that can come from a more aggressive, negative place, okay? When you really think about it, it's like what you're not going to put up with, so to speak. And that energy in itself can be very off-putting, right? And can create some separation between that man, that woman. That's why you'll see some scenarios where women will say, oh, the men are intimidated by my standards. And it's like, no, sometimes it's the way you're communicating them, the way you're coming across that's just turning him off. So instead, I want you to communicate from the position of this is what I desire, okay? These are still essentially giving standards, but you're coming from energetically and spiritually, you're coming from a different place when it's about desire. So example, I desire to hear from a man you desire to hear from a man you're dating, on a consistent basis. Like you desire healthy communication through phone calls and not so much text. You desire to see each other often. You're just expressing what you want. Now, that makes it so much easier for the man to receive. And here's one of the beautiful things it does. It clears up any confusion of what I just said about the Mr. Nonchalant versus Mr. Not trying to do too much. Some guys you can meet want to call you every day. Let's use this example. They actually would love to call you every single day. However, they don't want to be viewed as thirsty, doing too much. Someone may have told them, hey, you need to slow down, wait for her to call you, all this nonsense, all this game playing. So by you coming out and saying, hey, my desire is daily communication, boom. If he's serious and he's that guy that was willing to do it anyway, now that clears that up. He doesn't have to play this game of, oh, let me not call her today and see, let her miss me. We ain't got to do none of that. No, he knows exactly what you want. And if he's serious about you, he will pour into you in that way. Now, I understand the concern with expressing desire is the idea that you are giving a man the blueprint to play you. Okay, I understand that. And be sure to watch all the way to the end of the video because there's an important point I'm going to make so that you don't ever have to worry about, what if I'm making it easier for a man to use me, play me, whatever the case may be. But understand that, especially in today's world, a man who's not serious about you is very unlikely to want to pour into all of your desires. Okay, just to play around, get you and go, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying most guys, especially today, are trying to do the least to get the most. And if anything, the user, the guy who's playing games, he may try to hone in on one or two things, but he's not going to cover all the bases, all right? Whereas the guy who's serious, if he makes the effort to cover everything that you're saying you desire from this experience with him, it's just not likely he's doing that just to play you. Also, this is hitting my spirit. So let me also mention this because a lot of women will say to me, well, Stephan, these guys will do everything for the first month or 2 months and then it just goes away. So they're clearly playing games. I'm like, no, one or two things could be happening there. All right, outside of are there exceptions to where they're playing you?
Yes.
But in most cases, sometimes his effort stops after months or whatever because you're not reciprocating the effort. All right, you keep staying in sit back and wait mode, letting him prove himself to you, but you're not realizing that you're not pouring back into him. And now he has to start to question, are you serious? Are you just using him? You got to realize there are plenty of women out there who are using men. So you can't think you can't have this idea that, well, why would he even assume that could be the case? Because it happens. The other thing to understand is sometimes a man could want to pursue you. Let's say he saw you on social media, and I always tell people sometimes people's fantasy is better than the reality of the situation. So what people put in their heads about somebody, it overhypes the situation, but the reality of it is very different. And sometimes it's not because the quality of who you are is less than what they have. Sometimes the responsibility that comes with being with someone like you, they didn't think about that part. They will only think about the things they can enjoy, right? So let's say the guy goes hard for a couple months. Perfect example. Let's say you're a woman who likes the finer things in life. And initially that guy is going hard trying to impress you. But then after a couple months, he realizes I can't keep this up. And so his efforts stop, or he comes to realize that, I was letting all the hype in my head push me through. But you ever met somebody you thought it was going to be great, and after a while you realize, all right, maybe I don't like them like that. Maybe it's not that serious, like they're cool, they're great on the people, but you don't see a future with this. That would you be frustrating with, and simply to help because it's going to the guys out, and it's going to him crying. Will be expressing will be Sometimes some women are receiving less because they're holding that man to a lower standard. They're not requesting more from him. If they simply let him know, hey, listen, if you're gonna date me, this is what I need. Some situations the guy would step up, but it's like if a job says, all right, just come work here, but doesn't tell you got to be there for 40 hours. Some people might come, okay. If the job hey, listen, you want to keep working, you got to be here 40 hours a week. They're like, okay, wait a minute, well, I don't want to lose this job, so let me step up communication. So imagine us, all right, I don't know right ways to be a man's priority and not just his option. What's the word? One lose this is through rewarding. I'm laughing because I already know some of y'all eyes raised on that one, but hear me out. I was going to use the word show him appreciation, right? And you've probably heard me say that millions of times, but what I realize is that doesn't always compute the same way that I want you to receive it, right? And so sometimes we can feel like we are appreciative or we are showing appreciation, but it's not connecting with the person. So when I use the wording reward him, that makes it more specific, like I feel like it's more understood that we need to show or do something that now is a benefit to that man, right? And the reason why we reward is because, listen, and this is true with people, but I would argue it's especially true with men. Men don't like to do things that holds no weight, that doesn't bring about good result, okay? For a man, if 1 + 1 equals this is I'm gonna get this, and they like getting this, they'll keep doing 1 + 1, right? They'll run with that equation every time. But if 1 + 1 equals 0, they get nothing from it. It's not even about, I'm not willing to do this. It's what value does it have? If she doesn't seem to be happy, if I'm not getting any appreciation, if I don't receive anything in return, and again, it's not in a sense of I have to get something every time I do something for a woman. I'm saying as a man thinks, it's just that no one wants to keep pouring into somebody something that it seems like they don't really care for. So to flip it for a second, imagine you as a woman always cooking for a man. And yeah, he eats the food, but he never seems to be happy about it. He doesn't show any appreciation. He doesn't reward you in any kind of way. Well, over time, even if you like cooking, you may start to feel like, well, you're going to start slacking off, okay? Depending on how much you just enjoy doing it yourself, regardless, you're going to start slacking off. And the reality is that, listen, in relationships, there are certain things that we naturally just do because that's just who we are. But there are things that we try to embrace more of for the sake of our partner. But again, if that partner is not showing appreciation or giving some reward for it, yeah, we may feel like this is pointless. So rewarding him starts with understanding how he likes to be rewarded, right? And when I say reward, I don't want you to think you got to buy him something. I'm not saying you got to sleep with the man. All right? I'm simply saying you want to communicate that this action that he has taken or him prioritizing you is valued, appreciated, enjoyed, right? So what way it could be a kiss on the cheek. It could be doing something nice for him. It could be, again, you got to communicate with the guy because every guy is different, right? But the bottom line is the more that he sees you're reciprocating, the more he's going to prioritize you. Because I'm just giving this as an example. Let's just say, unknowing to you, this man was seeing 3 women, right? I know you don't like the way that sounds, but hear me out. Unknown to you, he was seeing 3 women. He was trying to figure out who he might want to take serious. And let's say out of those 3 women, 2 of them are just kind of receiving what he's giving them, taking that wait and see approach, right? But there's this one who like shows him appreciation, rewards him, pours back into him. Well, guess what? When it comes down to, let's say all 3 of them call him and they need him right now, who you think he's going to prioritize? Who is going to become number 1? Now, again, I know you're not trying to become one of 3 or one of 2, but I'm just simply saying to you how these things will set you apart. These things will move you up the ladder, whether there's other women there or just in his perspective of how much he should value and respect your position in his life. All right, so don't view it in a bad way. It's a very healthy, positive thing, and it will definitely move you out of option and into priority with that man. All right, so let's keep this thing going. And another important thing you can do to be a man's priority and not his option is to be available, okay? Now let me kind of give a quick story as to why that will highlight why I put this on the list. So I remember one time I was speaking at an event. I believe it was in Toronto, and they had like a brunch thing event for me to pop up at and sign books, all this stuff, whatever, take pictures, talk to the people. Anyways, I was speaking to one of the ladies and she was, saying, what can I do to, meet better men and meet more men, right? And get a great relationship. And I'm like, well, okay, what's going on now? How are you putting yourself out there? And she's like, well, I'm really busy. I have a lot on my plate. I think she like DJs on the side. She's a mother. She has her full-time job. Like, she listed a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, well, that's the problem right there. Like, your plate is so full. You have no room for a man. You have no availability for him. All right. And the thing is, you can't expect someone to make you a priority, but you're going to make them a convenience. This is a two-way street. You want to be his priority. Look, he's got to be your priority too. And in order for you to be able to prioritize him, you need availability. Now, so for some of you, because I'm sure this is resonating with some of you, because I always meet tons of women who just have too much on their plate. And what they're trying to do is they're hoping to meet a man who will be at their convenience and basically try to fit into their schedule. And it's like, in many cases, that's not going to work. And then you got to then ask yourself what kind of man, because if he's a man who has stuff going on, he's stable, he's got himself together, well, then he doesn't have the same flexibility as, let's say, Mr. Don't have a job, right? Who's home all the time.
Yeah.
He can fit into your schedule however you like. But the guy who has more going on, not so much. So I always say, I understand if people want to do different things and they have different hobbies and interests, cool. But if you desire a relationship, you can't have the mentality of, well, when I meet the man, I'll make the necessary adjustments, because it's not always that simple. It's almost like using that lady, for example. Let's just say DJing. That was one of the things she does on the side. Let's say DJ needs to be removed, right? And let's say she meets this wonderful man, but the problem is she's already booked out for the rest of the year. She can't just drop it. It's not that simple. You see what I'm saying? You want to start making the room now, right? And even if you're like, well, I'm making the room, but I don't have anything to fill it up with. Fill that up with me time, with you time. Things that you can do for yourself. You need time, because some of you forget the man for a second. Let's put a pin in that. Some of your plates are too full to where you're running yourself ragged. You are overly stimulated. You are drained. You are overwhelmed. You're stressing yourself out. You may not even see it and understand it, but you are wreaking havoc on your body, on your health, on your mind, on your spirit, okay? So for your sake, you need to create a more balanced life. And that means identifying what can I remove? What is it truly necessary for me to keep on my plate? Granted, some of you may be in a position where everything you got going on right